I've already ran you through the numbers on the 70% rule and how to run the math on a flip. Now, if you haven't watched that one yet, go back, videos links in the description. Make sure you watch that one first. Now, this one is going to be a little bit different. This is the operator's playbook, how a flip actually gets executed once the numbers work. What most flippers get wrong, it's not the math on the offer, right? It's everything that happens after the offer is accepted: the team, the scope, the timeline, the exit. In the next 8 minutes, I'm going to walk you through the full playbook. And if you follow it, your first flip's not going to be your last flip. I'm Robert with OpenLane Funding. Let's get into it. The number one new flippers make is they find the property first, then they scramble to find the contractors. Now that's backwards, and it's going to cost you 60 to 90 days on your first deal. Now you got to build your team before you make an offer, and here's the minimum roster. Number one, you got to find a fix and flip lender. Get to know one or two before you start hunting for that deal. Hard money and fix and flip loans do not work like traditional residential loans. There is no pre-approval process. Every deal gets underwritten based on the specific property, your experience level, and your liquidity at the time of the application. Now, what you can do in advance is have a conversation, understand what their rate range is, their point structure, their max LTV on a purchase and rehab loan, their reserve requirements, and most importantly, their closing speed. If your lender can't close in 14 to 21 days, and you might not be able to compete on a deal that's worth having. Or you might make a seller mad by going back to them with multiple extension requests. Know that the timeline is a major piece and you need to understand it cold before you start making offers. So when you tell a seller, hey, I can close in 2 weeks, you actually can. Number two, a general contractor and at least two backup subs. Now, you want to interview 3 GCs before you buy anything. Get sample scopes and pricing on hypothetical work. Contractors who ghost you during the pre-planning, they will ghost you mid-project. Now, number 3, you got to find an investor-friendly realtor that works both sides. The one who will pull comps for you during the offer phase, and the one that's going to list the property on the exit. Ideally, 2 people, but a strong dual agent works fine as well if on the exit if the market supports it. Now, 4, an insurance broker. Builders risk policies take 3 to 5 days to bind, so make sure you have your insurance broker ready before closing. Number 5, an accountant who understands active real estate. Not the person who does your W-2 taxes, someone who has flipped or someone who has 20 plus flipper clients. Talk to them before your first deal so that you understand the tax hit that's going to be coming in April. When these 5 people are in place, your first flip goes 40% faster than someone who's building the team while their meter's running, while you're paying your monthly payments and your insurance, and you have all these expenses that you wouldn't have had if you just jumped ahead just a little bit. Every successful flip runs on the same 4 phases. If you miss the timing on any of them, your profit starts to compress. Phase 1, acquisition and planning, days 1 through 30. You're going to close the deal. You're going to pull the permits if needed, finalize the scope of work with your GC, order the long lead items, cabinets, windows, appliances, custom finishes, and the single most common issue of a delayed flip is a countertop or cabinet that the order was placed too late. Phase 2, demo or rough work. Days 30 through 90, demo, framing, plumbing rough, electrical rough, HVAC, any structural work it's all gonna happen here. This is where you find surprises. Old wiring, rotted subflooring, foundation issues. List goes on and on in this world. So you want to make sure that you budget 10 to 15% for contingency. So what's for the surprise item when you open up the walls, you have something padded into your budget. Phase 3, finishes, days 90 through 150, drywall, paint, flooring, cabinets, trim, fixtures. This is what buyers actually see. So you make sure you spend real time on the kitchens, bathrooms, and curb appeal. You don't cut corners on, or you can cut corners on the closets, but it's not recommended, right? Laundry rooms and secondary bathrooms. Make sure all of these are completed nice. They're going to see them. Phase 4, punch list and the listings. So days 150 through 180. These are going to be where your final touches hit the property. Professional cleaning, staging photos, listing. Do not skip staging. Staging is massive. Staged homes sell to 15 to 20% faster in almost every market that I've watched, and you genuinely get a higher offer and less tire kickers. Total realistic timeline is on average going to be about 6 to 9 months for your first flip. Not 3, not 4. Anyone telling you 3 months is selling you something. They're not being honest. The scope creep is what kills the profit on about 80% of the first flips. You're standing in the property, you see something ugly, and you fix it. 10 of those decisions, and now you're $15,000 over budget. Here's the rule: match the market, don't beat it. Spend where the buyers spend: kitchen cabinets, counters, appliances, backsplashes, primary bathrooms, vanities, tiles, fixtures, curb appeal, exterior paint, landscaping, front door, mailboxes, flooring throughout the main level, fresh paint everywhere. Skip or cheap out on these are some options, right? Secondary bathrooms, paint and carpet only. Closets or pantries, paint or no organizers. Don't go over and beyond on the organizers. Laundry rooms, paint and light fixtures. Garage, broom clean, that's it. You can upgrade finishes buyers that can't distinguish from mid-tier. The neighborhood ceiling caps your ARV. If comps in the area sell with laminate countertops, quart countertops cost you extra money, and it's not going to get you anything back. So if all of your comps have quartz, then you're not going to be able to sell laminates. So match to the market, don't exceed it. Now, the 3 budget mistakes I see over and over and over again. There's no contingency line. You must budget 10 to 15% above what your GC's numbers are for surprises, right? That open up the wall, so to speak, that I told you about. If the GC bids 60, make sure that you plan for 66 to 69. It will happen, and it's going to happen more times than you can count on. Number 2, you forget the holding cost, the loan interest, taxes, insurance, utilities. These hit every single month, whether you are working on the property or not. On a $230,000 loan at a 10.5% interest rate, the interest rate alone is about $2,000 a month. Make sure you think about that. That's $2,000 a month you were not already paying. You got 6 months worth of interest. That is $12,000. 9 months, you're looking at 18. Bake it in. Forgetting the exit cost, the post NAR settlement. Now, the NAR settlement. Now, plan on 3% listing commission. The plus title, escrow, transfer tax, or tax, or any repair concessions negotiated during the inspection period on a $450,000 sale. Exit costs are going to run you about 15 to 20 grand. And add all 3 of your profit. Add all 3, and your profit starts shrinking by $35,000 to $50,000 versus a naive first-timer estimate. That's why the 70% rule exists. It absorbs all of it automatically. It pads you. It secures you. Now, comment Flip Playbook below, and I'll send you the project management checklist that I use with my borrowers. And subscribe, because next Wednesday, I'm going to do a deep dive on the fix to keep and why most attempted burrs quietly become fix to keeps in 2026. Now, what you've done, now that you've done the work, now here's the part that almost nobody optimizes. How you list matters just as much as what you renovated. Timing the list. In most markets, the strongest weeks of the year are late February through mid-May. Now, again, mid-September through October. Buyers are shopping seriously and inventory is still moving. If your project finishes in November or December, seriously consider holding until January or February. The extra 2 months of carrying cost are generally going to be worth it, when you get that seasonal lift price. The price for the first weekend. The first weekend on market, the prices gets 3 to 5 times more traffic than any other weekend. So the price 1 to 2% under your target so that you can generate multiple offers, not negotiated offers. A property that sits there for 3 weeks becomes stale, and every buyer who's seen it wonders what's wrong with it. Professional photos, drone, and a 3-day tour. Those are non negotiable. This isn't a listing, it's a marketing campaign. If your realtor doesn't include these or doesn't know how to do them, make sure that you hire somebody separately. That's going to cost you about $400 to $600, but it's going to pay you back 20 to 1. There's going to be 2 moves that flippers do not make that add real money. Number 1, hold past 12 months when it makes a financial sense. Held under a year, your profit is taxed as ordinary income at your marginal rate, potentially 32 to 37% federal plus state plus employment taxes. It all adds up. Held over 12 months, now that converts to long-term capital gains, which drops it to about 15 to 20% on federal, and on a $100,000 profit, that tax difference can be about $17,000 to $20,000 in your pocket. Tell me that doesn't make sense. The trade-off is 2 to 3 extra months of carrying cost. So if you're carrying at $2,500 a month, your tax savings is $18K. You are clear. You clear about $10,000 to $12,000 by net holding, right? That's beautiful. Make sure this is why you also should talk to CPAs before you decide when to sell it. 2, rent it while you wait for the ideal listing window. If you are finishing in a soft season and if you're finished it right at the end of October, you just missed that window. Next window is going to be February. Okay, well, now you just finished in that soft season, right? So, if you're waiting for that 12-month window as well, place a short-term tenant on the property on a 6-month lease, or list it on Airbnb if the market supports Airbnbs. Even $2,000 to $3,000 a month of rental income offsets a huge chunk of your carrying cost. A tenanted flip is not harder to sell if you disclose properly and structure it with a lease with a landlord-controlled termination. Neither of these are for every deal, but knowing they exist is the difference between an average flipper and one who compounds. Now, here's the playbook. Build the team. Respect the 4 phases of the timeline. Match the neighborhood. Don't beat it. Budget contingencies. Holding and exit. Timing your listing. Consider the tax and tenant plays on the exit. If you follow this playbook, your first flip, you'll be set up to run 5 more of these. All right. If you skip steps, you might get lucky on one, but it's going to blow up on another one. It will blow up. Make sure you hit this playbook. Now, comment flip playbook for your project management checklist. And if you have a specific deal that you want me to walk you through, numbers in the description. Call, email me, text me. I'm here for you. I'm Robert with OpenLane Funding. I'll see you guys on Friday.